she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though.
Well, good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be back. George Morgan here at your service. It's PSGL. It's Wednesday night. It's Spain tonight as well. Lots on the table, lots of battling. The title contest is still alive and kicking. And Jack, it's only taken us 10 rounds. We're on the 11th. It's all to play for.
Boromant goes on the inside and takes the lead on the final lap of the race. Now it's side by side between Boromant and Warner, but Boromant's got the inside.
A guest star here in this phenomenal race. Cameron Dowd looking to take P2 in his very first PSGL F1 PC race. Incredible to say the least. You see that Putin to lead. 1.5 seconds. DRS is the name.
Hello everyone, good evening and welcome back to PSGL here for the second lobby of tonight's social race. Obviously, I'm Nathan Richards, joining me alongside is Zataxter. Hello Zataxter, how are you?
Hey Nathan, it's great to be back behind the mic for a race, a social race in fact. Around a track like this one, yeah, I'm just excited for this. I'm just excited to be behind the mic for a PSGL race again.
Yeah, it's great to be on the new game as well. Obviously, F122, it's got many controversial views. So I think it's nice to have a bit of a change up, something a bit different. I've played the game myself, and to be fair, it is a lot better. I can actually finish a race now, which is a great thing. The traction improved, the handling, there's a lot less understeer now. The setups have got a bit more variation. I'm not one for setups myself, so I don't really know, but I know many engineers and strategists, and that'll be very interested in the setups themselves. And I think I might have called this a little bit early because we've only got 16 in the lobby. But yeah, it's just great to be back on a new game, isn't it?
Yeah, surely enough. And as every new game approaches, the leagues begin, and of course, the social race itself is a start to a bit more of nostalgia, perhaps, of every season start, right? We love that feeling. When it ends, it's a kind of bittersweet, depending on which part of the standings you are on in your own leagues. And of course, today in the social race, it's all to play for, and everyone would like to finish in the front.
Yes, and I think obviously coming into this, obviously some people who might be part of the esports teams might have had a bit more time to get used to the game. Some others will have only got the game on the 13th when it came out originally. So yeah, we'll be able to see the difference between the drivers who have played longer than the others who haven't. So we're gonna have a look at the grid, which I made earlier. So excuse the very bad graphics design, and I think there might have been a couple changes here and there. But from what I can see, we've got Jack West and Corne de Baca in the Aston Martin. We've got Drake Dempsey and Floris Fires in the Red Bull. Kamil Sahara and Jona Martins in the Ferrari. Cameron Dowds and Andre Molnar in the Mercedes. Harlan Marquis and Liam Stevens in the Alpine. Max Wiesel and Chana Kinchi in the McLaren, Bogdan Moldovan and Franat Moraviak in the Alfa Romeo, Kevin Ballas and Benny Fabos in the Haas, Demi Chorlu, I think I said that correctly, and Ben Marples in the AlphaTauri. And finally, Williams, we have Yannick Schmidt and Felipe Sousa. So very strong grid, and there's many drivers here from F2 through to F4. And I believe some of them might have been in F5 a few seasons ago, but it's nice to see them jumping back up. But as a tax, is anyone in here that you're looking forward to see out on track today?
Yeah, I usually have my top 3 picks and I go through them one by one. But to be really honest, I don't. Perhaps Harlem, since he's a name we've been talking about for the past couple of minutes.
Yeah.
But I'm just eager to see anyone come out with the left field result. I think it'll be interesting to see how close each one of these drivers are. And who knows, maybe it won't be a 5-way or a 10-way battle. Maybe each driver across the grid will have a shot at winning in the race and won't be all qualifying in this social race.
Yeah, and I think for me, obviously, I've been watching a few the driver streams on Twitch and talking to a few drivers as well. And at the moment, it seems like Floris and Jona have had a very good start to the game. They seem really quick at the moment. So those two are the ones I'm looking out for. Also, I'm looking out for the likes of Liam Stevens and Cameron Dowds. You know, very young drivers. Liam himself's very new to the F1 scene. I think he's only been participating competitively for the past year. Cameron, I think a little bit longer than that. But those two, you know, I think they're about 14 years old, so very young compared to some of the drivers in the grid. So I'm very excited to see what they can do and hopefully try and kickstart their esports career a little bit more in this game. And also we got the likes of Chana Kinch, obviously racing challenges last year, and I believe a couple of others have made their appearances somewhere. Yannick Schmidt, part of Williams. Harlem, obviously now part of Race Clutch, so we've got lots of experienced drivers in here who are all part of esports teams. So obviously some of those will have some setups, whereas the others that aren't in esports teams probably won't have. So I think that's also somewhere where we're going to see a difference between the drivers with the setups as well. But I think waiting for two more people, and there has been a few changes because I've noticed we've got Miltos Karafalidis in the lobby in the Williams. I believe he might be replacing Felipe. Maybe no, Felipe's in here. He's in the Aston Martin, so there's a few changes actually throughout the lobby.
I was just about to say I should probably be rooting for the Williams drivers, considering the Williams in my background. But you just brought up Karafalidis as well as Yannick. It'll be interesting to see how they do, just for the sake of having a Williams in my background. I'm going to put that out there.
Well, I think obviously my IRL support in team is Red Bull, so I think having Drake and Floris in the Red Bull is a very, very strong lineup. Obviously, Floris, he's drove in esports 2019. I think it was 2019, 2020 for Haas. Drake, he's been in Alfa Romeo in the last game, but he's always been quick throughout. So those two are very good drivers to have as supporting. But I think another strong team we'll see is Chana Kinchi and Max Wiesel. Like, that's going to be a very strong team as well. So I'm just going to see if these drivers can hook it up in qualifying. I was watching a couple of the practice lobbies earlier, and Max and Floris seemed like the quickest. They was doing 0.4s. I think in one lobby, Floris did a very high 0.3, which is only 500ths off what was the pole time in PSGL PCF1 last night. So that is a very, very quick time. But obviously, Floris, I believe he's part of the Creator Network, so he's had access to the game a bit earlier. He's had experience in esports, so he's got a bit more experience behind him, which definitely helps. And I believe Kamil Stahar has just joined the lobby. So I'm waiting for one more, which I don't know who that is. I'll have a quick look. It will be one of the Alfa Romeos, which I'll be honest, I forgot who's driving in that car. So we'll see shortly. But let's have a look, see if I can see the chat on the screen. Let me know if there's any issues with the stream. You can't hear. Is there an issue with the stream? Let me know, because someone says you can't hear this guy. So just let me know if there's an issue with the audio. Hello, Saeed. Hello, Ninja. Hello, Cameron's dad. Nice to see you back, of course, as always. Hello, Jess. Hello, Harvey. Hello, Timo. Welcoming everyone. And I believe we're going to get going shortly. It's going to have to wait for everyone to get in. And we have got everyone in now. I believe the last person to join was Franek Mraviak. So once we start to get readied up, we will go over onto our quick advert from our sponsor, GT Omega. But want to wait that a little bit because I don't want to put that on and then we switch back and we're still waiting to join into the lobby. So hopefully we can get started soon. I think I might have called it a bit early streaming. I should have probably started it a couple minutes later.
Perhaps, but I think this builds up a bit of
True.
suspense going into quality.
It does indeed. And Mikey B. Who's Mikey B? I don't know who that is. I've never heard of that driver before.
An outlier.
Well, it is. And considering that I know most of the drivers in here, this is quite a surprise to see someone I don't recognise. And I'll turn Zataxter up a little bit, see if the sound's fine. But yeah, bear with me, guys. There might be a bit of a difference in sound for now, because obviously I'm used to being with Josh, so that's all set up ready. So I've had to change it all around. So there might be a few issues here and there. Once we get into the game, there'll also be a couple of issues as well with the sound, just to get everything sorted out. And we're ready to go. So we're going to have a little word from our sponsor from GT Omega. And I believe we timed that to near enough perfection because we are loading into lobby now. We've got 30 seconds till we go. I think we've just got a couple drivers left to load in. But qualifying, is there anything you expect in these sessions, Ataxter? Anything that you think we should be looking out for in this session?
I think, let's hope, depending on what the weather ends up being. I see it is a bit cloudy. I get a bit too optimistic sitting behind the mic and hoping for rain. So most of the drivers aren't big fans of me. Tell you that. But if it is the case, of course, if we do see in a wild chance for it to actually end up raining, then earlier you are to put in a lap, the better for you. And you can already see, out they come. The Alfa Romeo Bogdan is the first one out of the pits, I reckon.
Yep, and Bogdan, he's a driver I commentated on since season 30 on our manual debut in PSGL last year. So it's always nice to see Bogdan racing the lobbies. So it's not a surprise we've seen him here either. He's always up for a bit of racing, and considering how bad last game was, he was quite active on track. So I presume he might be a little bit more active as well in this game, as it seems a lot better. And I haven't heard many bad reviews from the game yet, which I suppose is a very good sign. But we said the exact same thing about F122 until I thought, you know what, we'll change it up and make you all hate the game. And I believe Felipe Sousa is now the one leading the pack. Felipe, from what I've seen in WOR and the other league, I probably shouldn't mention that name. But yeah, he was in that league last game in Tier 2 where I commentated, and he didn't have the best of seasons. Many unluckiness came into play, and it also seemed like he had lots of struggles with traction. Obviously, with that being a bit more fixed in this game, we could see a bit more speed from him. Obviously, we looked down the grid. We've got Cameron Dowes, one of the young drivers, joined RHG a few months back. I was with him in VC a few hours ago, and he doesn't seem to have the most confidence just yet, but he's got time to adjust. We've got Max Wiesel as well, one of the veterans. We know Max. Everyone knows Max is fast, and he's never ever slow. Benny Fabos, don't really know much about the guy. I've heard him about, but I haven't really seen him. Moraviak, as I like to call him, Frank Maraki. He's sitting in the Alfa Romeo. Andre Molnar, Jono Martins, obviously engineer for Ferrari. We've got Kevin Ballas, Kamil Sakura, Chana Kinchi, part of RHG, I believe now. Floris Fires, former esports driver for Haas. Mikey B, still don't know who that guy is. We've got Cornel de Baca, Yannick Schmidt, part of Williams, Liam Stevens, Ben Marples, Drake Dempsey, who's previously been in Alfa Romeo, Paolo Marquis, who's recently joined to Race Clutch, and then Karafalidis, who is a pretty solid driver and has really been working his way up the ranks recently. So there we go, everyone. A bit of an overview of the grid quickly.
That's the kind of view you want if you're watching, surely enough. And something we might have just missed, of course, is Felipe Sousa. Second one out, or perhaps even third one out, but on a fast lap. He'll be the first one to set a lap time on the board, I'd imagine. Bogdan was jogging up to the start finish line at the very beginning. Of course, still early times during qualifying. We got about 15 minutes left into short quali ahead of seeing a first lap time on the board. Felipe Sousa just entered Sector 3, going through it, penultimate corner. And now the final one. What kind of lap time do you reckon we're going to see?
From Felipe, it'll be another 0.1, but I think for pole position, we should be seeing possibly the 10.5s, the 10.4s, the Max Wiesel there, 10.6. Absolutely amazing that. Bogdan a 10.8 pops himself into P2. The Hasses sitting third and fourth, the 10.9 and 11.0. But all the times will start to flurry in now, and there we are, Floris into the top two there. Just a 100th back off of Max Wiesel. Debaka into 8th position, just behind his teammates. Staharat into the top 5 with a 10.922. Lots of times going on the board. We've got Franek into the top 7. We're on board with Cameron down to see what he can do as he comes through the final couple of corners. Now, what can Cameron do? Can he beat his teammate who's sitting in 6th? No, he can't. He'll slot himself into 8th with a 10.944. We look further down. Chanakinchi coming through in towards turn 10.
Yeah, I caught a purple sector 1 from Jonah Martins in the Ferrari, as well as I did see, I believe it was Drake Dempsey who lit up sector 2 purple, and rightfully so. He's third fastest out on track so far. But yeah, I'm going to stay on board Jonah Martins. If he can catch his lap time, can put himself in the top 5 early into qualifying. Goes fastest.
Great that time from Yoda. We saw him in PSGL F2 last season. You know, the start of the season he did really great, and they seemed to practice less and less as the season went on, so he started to fall back more and more. But I think it was Harlem I was speaking to the other day, and he said that Jonah's really, he's looking really good on this game. So hopefully a bit more luck comes Jonah's way. And I think we all know he's definitely one when it comes to having a bit of a bad temper when he has someone look at us. So hopefully if he gets a bit more luck as well, he won't get so angry out on track. So we can save himself a bit of sanity. But Harlan Marquis now coming through out of turn on, heading down into turn 10 with the DRS. What does he do in that first sector? It's a 50.021. So pretty decent split time there in the first two sectors. He's coming now up in towards turn 12, the long right hander. Got to be very careful here. It's very easy to go wide and you lose lots of time because the wider you go there, the later you have to get onto throttle coming through turn 12 now. Into turn 13 and finally into turn 14. Pretty much flat through here. What can Harlan put on the board? Will it be the top 10? It will be a P9. So just inside that top 10 for Harlan. And look how quick the grid's coming down already. Very close.
Sorry about that, Nathan. Just sorting some issue on my end. But yeah, Harlem's lap looked stellar. Oh, and he's the only car out on track. I was just actually noticing before sorting out an issue that Mikey B out of place initially and still a bit out of place. And out of touch with lap times, I'm sure. He's currently sitting at the very end of the timesheets. I wonder if he's got a lap in him.
Well, I still want someone to tell me who Mikey B is because I've never seen that name before, and I don't know anyone with the name Mikey. So if anyone in the chat knows it, can you please tell me who he is? Because I have no clue. And to be fair, I'm quite disappointed because I seem to know quite a lot of people. So it's quite a surprise. But yeah, it'd be nice if you could tell me who he is because I didn't recognise his name. He wasn't on the sign-up sheet unless he's changed his name from something else. I'm not too sure. But that would be nice, and he's currently 15 seconds down, so obviously he's not set a representable time at all. He's currently on a 125, so he's got lots of time to gain there, of course. But I'm watching currently Max Wiesel currently sitting in the second position ahead of the two Red Bulls, third and fourth. On a 6.54, very close between that top four, all within about 800ths of a second. And then you see it kind of groups off. So you've got those top four. Then you've got Yannick, Liam, and Bogdan all together with their little about 600ths of a second. Then you've got Benny Fabos down to Cameron Dades. They're all within 1/10 as well. Then you look further down, you've got Chan all the way down to, I'd say, Ben Marples all in their little train. So yeah, everyone's in little groups at the moment, and I think it's something we see multiple times. You have people at the front, and then it kind of breaks off as you go down the grids. But to be fair, I think with it being the third day on the game, you've got a gap between first and 19th of 7/10, first and 18th of 5/10. I think that's a really close grid to go into the game. And obviously, remember, this is F2 to F4, so some of the drivers might not make it. You know, some of the drivers in here won't be in the same tier in the actual season. This is just a couple of tiers merged together, just so we get a few more drivers racing. Yes, attack. So anyone, who do you think will take pole? We've
Yeah,
got some lap times on the board.
Yeah, I was just gonna bring it up how close this entire grid is, especially P1, P12 so far on the timesheets itself. And I'm looking at Purple Sector 1 from Max Wiesel. I reckon he can challenge for pole, but I still feel after that last lap, that was his only lap, in fact, Harlem Marquez. I think he's the one who's going to really challenge for pole come the last couple of minutes of qualifying. He does find himself still in the top 10 fastest drivers so far out on track. So let's not discount any one of these drivers, considering some of them we probably had a bad first run, and we've seen that multiple times across different races, haven't we? And yeah, it'll be interesting to see last couple of minutes how things turn out. A bunch of the drivers have come out on track for their second running. First of them was Max, as I mentioned, and he just wrapped up another running. Didn't go quicker. Oh, he did. 110.450.
Very good time there from Max. And I'm watching Cameron as well. He's up by 2.5 tenths in his lap time. He's coming through now into the final couple of corners. What will Camel Stasher do now as he comes out the final corner? Where will it be? Will it be ahead of his teammate? It will be just behind his teammate by 1,000th of a second there. A 6-1-2. 1,000 between the two Ferraris. And still Max Wiesel out on top by about 1.5, 2 tenths, and Max, he's been really quick. I've been watching him in the practice. A 4.50. I know we can do a little bit quicker than that, but to be fair, that is very close to Max's peak so far. But it seems if you got the name, Max, you seem to be at the top half the time. So yeah, very good for him indeed. And I'm watching Ben Marples now. He's currently on a 1:11.167. Obviously got lots of time to go throughout his lap now. He's coming through out of turn 3, heading towards turn 4 now. Is he up on his time? It doesn't tell me, so I don't think he's on a lap. Oh, that was a glitch. And Karafalidis is not on the time because he has got the red flashing light. He's Cameron Dowd. He's down by 1/10 in the first sector. Marnar's up by 2 tenths in the middle. And he has a big, massive slide coming through turn 12. And he had to correct that about 4 times, but he does correct it. So luckily, Andre has got a chance to go in again and he doesn't end up in the wall. But looking further up, I didn't realise Janet Schmidt's in the top 6 and Liam Stevens in the top 7. So that's great that time for him indeed.
Yeah, and I think Yannick just snuck himself into the top 6 as well. But yeah, I was on board a Red Bull earlier on who got impeded by an AlphaTauri. I believe that was Flores. And right now I'm on board Drake Dempsey, who's lit up Sector 2 purple, but was quickly snatched. So I reckon a couple of these drivers we might see jump on the timesheets quite a bit. We just got about 8 minutes left to short quali, and Sector 3 lit up yellow briefly. I think that's the McLaren and Williams.
Yep, and on board with Mikey Bean, he's coming through. Turn 14, he sets a 1:16.5, which is a time indeed that will be decent in the last game. So he must have made a mistake on that lap indeed. And Shona Kinshake currently sitting down in 15th. That is not where I expected him to be. I expect him to be in that top 5 at least. So we'll stay on board with him as he comes through now. Down into turn 1 to see what he can set on this time around. But obviously Chand, he's raced in challenges last season. I don't know if he was there the year before. He's obviously now, I think he announced it today, as part of RHG Sports, so as a development driver, which obviously shows they've got potentially in him, of course. He's up by nearly a 10th in that first sector, so that could put him around the top 10 for now, but obviously he's got the second and third sector to go, so we can either gain we can either gain lots of time, or we can either lose lots of time. As you stay on board with him now as he comes through. Turn 7 and 8, very difficult section to get correctly, so the section I can't get correctly at all. And now he flies through turn 9 flat, as it was on last game. As he now flies down in towards turn 10, and Flores gets a 5-place grid penalty for a collision with Cameron Dowds. So not sure what's happened there. And if Flores has got any evidence to prove that he shouldn't get the penalty, we could have a restart. But Cameron's died on track, which means that's a weird one. So he's either crashed out or he's hit Flores. And then he's just retired on track, one of the two.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. At the end of Sector 2 is where he ended up retiring. First retirement of the quali, hopefully the only. And yeah, Sector 2 is getting a bit too antsy for some of these drivers. I believe there's a Ferrari at the entrance of Sector 2 having a bit of an issue. But yeah, it's well on its way, unlike Cameron. But yeah, unfortunate to see. 6 minutes left to short quali. Max Wiesel still the fastest car out on track. Fastest driver out on track.
Yep, and I think at the moment it's pretty clear to see Max Wiesel will probably take pole, but I know we've still got, the likes of Jona and Flores who I think could put some great lap times in, and Liam Stevens is currently on a lap, he's coming down up towards the line. What will it be for Liam Stevens? Will it be an improvement? No, it won't. It'll be a 75,000th time loss on that lap, so he stays into P7, and I think that we do have time for more laps, obviously, and at least now the sectors don't light up yellow throughout the whole session. You can actually see the timing board sometimes. And Kevin Ballas, he's currently sitting in 12th position on a 10.9. He's on a 2,000th improvement in that first sector, so he's on a push lap, and we'll be able to see what he can do throughout sector 2 now as he breaks down into turn 5. Very easy to lose the rear there, and he just throws the car in. Sometimes it's nice for a bit of rear lock and get a bit of a drift in the back end of the car, and he now comes up through turn 7 and 8. Yet again, very difficult section. He takes that very nicely now as you come through in towards turn 9. Very simple corner, but because it's such high speed, it can be very easy for you just to lose the rear a little bit and then you're straight round. Now, what does he do in that middle sector? It's 43,000th improvement. So currently, good enough for that top 8. But he's got the final sector still to conquer, so he could still gain a couple of tenths here, which would be very good for him. As he now comes down into turn 13, then in towards turn 14, pretty much flat through this whole section. And we'll see, what can Kevin Ballas put on the board in the Haas? Will it be top 6? It will be top 6, just ahead of his teammate with a 7.86.
The Haas seem to have just, woken up in the second half of qualifying, and they find themselves in the top 7 already. What's to say that can't get into the top 5? Clearly the Red Bulls and the Ferraris have been there for a while now, when with just over 4 minutes left to quali. Max still holds on to the top spot. You've predicted him to stick the pole all the way till the very end. But yeah, I reckon a couple of these guys still have something in the tank.
Yeah, and Flores Fires, he's coming through now. He's 2 seconds down, so he's going to be probably, I think, getting back into the pit lane. But currently the top 10 is Max Feastel, Yona Martins, Kamil Sahara, Drake Dempsey, Floris Fires, Kevin Ballas, Benny Fabos, Yannick Schmidt, Liam Stevens, and finally Bogdan Moldovan on a 10.8. So the top 2 separated by nearly 2 tenths, and then it's 2nd to 10th separated by 2 tenths. So at the moment, Max Feastel is on an absolute other level.
Yeah, and it's what you love to see, especially in qualifying itself, because come the race, it's all to play for, going into turn 1, in fact. And yeah, you never know what will unravel going into turn 1. So we get to see their best to an extent. Some of these drivers at least around a single lap during qualifying. Just about 3 minutes left into quali. I expect a couple of the drivers to come out now, but seemingly they are comfortable in the pits, except an Aston Martin and a Haas out on track currently. Oh, there's a Ferrari.
And I'm looking in the chat, and Floris says, sorry Cam, I was a bit frustrated. So I don't know if that means that Floris took out Cameron, also had a bit of contact, but he says he was frustrated. And also, it does seem that Mikey B's not meant to be in the lobby because Dihar got disconnected. So obviously, because he's disconnected, it's allowed someone to join the lobby through Friends of Harlem. So hopefully he leaves the lobby when the race starts, so Dihar can take the place in the AlphaTauri. But yeah, it's all fun and games at the start of each F1 game. And currently on board of Yona Martins, currently heading out to track now, coming through turn 3. Will be on his outlap for his final run of the session. Currently sitting in P2 with a .611, about 2 tenths off the back of Max Feastel, who's currently got that provisional pole, and I can't see that time being beaten by many people. I think the only 2 or 3 drivers on the grid that can beat this is probably Yona, Floris, and maybe Drake and Camille. That's 4, but still, it's very close. And Molnar gets a 5-place grid penalty for illegal blocking, so that's 2 drivers now with a penalty. So yeah, a very confusing start. And we go through, and that is, I believe, one of the Red Bulls of Floris, or Drake. It's Floris, heading out past Yona Martins, heading into turn 9. Yeah, the final runs. Let us know in the chat, everyone. Who do you think will take pole position? I'm going to say Max Feastel, but let us know in the chat who do you think. And Zataxta, who do you think for the final run of quali?
Oh my god, I was just going to mention how many cars are out on track for that one final lap, but I'm just going to go ahead and put my prediction in to John Martins in the Ferrari. I think he can beat Max Feastel for the front spot of the grid. He's already on the front row for now. We'll see how it all unravels about. I don't know. I'm going to go out on the winger here and say 15 cars trying to get in the lap.
So this will be very intense now. We head down to turn 1 with Floris Fires, currently sitting in P5, one of the first drivers to start a lap in the final parts of this qualifying session. Wanted to try and take a P1. Obviously, we know we won F3 back in season 32. He was, I think he made a few appearances in F2, got a couple of race wins, I think, throughout that season. So obviously, we'll be looking to be one of the strongest drivers on this grid. But remember, it is a new game, so some drivers will be quicker than others. Some will also be a lot slower compared to their previous performances on last game. And Floris up by a 10th in that first sector. So already looking to try and take P2 provisionally with just that 1/10 improvement. He now comes through, down in towards turn 7 and 8. What can Flores Fires do now? You can see they're just wanting to get on the power as early as he can now. He heads up towards turn 9. You just want to throw the car in full throttle as you go through there. Then you open the DRS on the exit. You head now down in towards turn 10. You've got to be very careful because it's very easy to lock the rears and go round. And Flores takes that very nicely, going wide on the exit to give yourself a nice traction line as he now comes through up in towards turn 12. Now the long right-hander as he now gets ready to take the 2 final corners, the new section of turns 13 and 14. Used to be the chicane, now it's just a long, flat section of track as he now comes up towards the line. Can Flores try and take provisional pole position? No, he can't, but he will put himself on the provisional front row.
Yeah, I was on board, Jonah, and as I say that, purple sector 1 lit up purple. Oh, big purple sector 2 and make that 3 for 3 as Jonah Martins goes fastest so far.
Yep, and Bogdan Moldovan into the top 6. Camel Stacher there into the top 4. Does improve, but not enough to get a position now. On board with Max Fiesel, he's got to try and get an improvement of around 25 thousandths of a second to get ahead of Jonah Martins. Jonah's put a great lap in there with a low 0.4, and he's up by a 10th. This is looking really good for Max Fiesel. This is actually looking to be quicker than the pole time set yesterday in Q3 at PCF1. I believe that was a low, I think that was a 0.344. Now we'll see, can Max Fiesel match that or be quicker? Because he was up by over a 10th in that middle sector now. Max Fiesel, current line. Can he try and take provisional pole? No, he can't. He loses it all in that final sector and finishes 11 thousandths behind Jonah Martins. What could have been an amazing lap ends him into P2. So there we are. Qualifying ended, and that was a great session, wasn't it, Zatak Star?
My oh my, you gotta feel for Max. That sector 3 came out of nowhere. I was on board him, and my word, it shocked me truly. A beautiful sector 3, but unfortunately for Max, wasn't quick enough. He held on to provisional pole for a brief amount of time, but Jonah Martins at the end of it will start on pole position ahead of the Spanish social race here in PSGL. I'm excited for this one. The race, Nathan, the race is going to be amazing. I can feel it.
I can't wait. I haven't been this excited for a race in a long time, but we'll go through the classification quickly. So Jonah Martin starts pole 9 thousandths ahead of Max Hill. So then we have Floris Wires, Kamil Stahira, Drake Dempsey, Yannick Schmidt, Andre Molnar, Chana Kinchi, Benny Fabos, and Bogdan Moldovan in the top 10. Then we have Kevin Ballas, Liam Stevens, Ben Marples, Felipe Sousa, Harlan Marquis, Cameron Dades, Franat Mraviak, Miltos Karafalidis, Cornel Baca, and Mikey B. And now we're going to have a quick word from our sponsor before we head into the formation lap. Welcome back, everyone, to PSGL here for the Soldier race in the second lobbies. We've only been gone 30 seconds, but if you didn't know, Jonah Martin starts on pole ahead of Floris Fires, the top 2, who I said would probably finish in the top 2 as well. So, great lap times from them. 9 thousandths separating them. Not Floris, sorry, it was Max in the top 2. My bad. Started 9 thousandths from each of that. And one quick reminder, if you do buy anything from GTO Omega, make sure you pop on in the discount code PSGL for a 5% discount. Obviously, back partnering with them now for season 34. As a tax stat, we've predicted qualifying. Who's your prediction for the race win?
I'm wondering if I should go with chat on this one. They're all hyped for Max, and in fact, Harlem, regardless of which spot he qualified on, I believe we will have a formation lap, and I truly enjoy the formation lap because it gives us a moment to really appreciate each one of these drivers, the cars as well, and gives us a moment for predictions, as you mentioned. I'd like to hear yours, but I'm going to go ahead and say Max actually picks off Jonah come race end.
So I'm going to say the winner will be Jonah Martins. I think P2 will be Max Fiesel, and P3, I'm going to say Yannick Schmidt. Sorry, Drake, but I'm going to go with Yannick. And Floris, remember, he had that penalty, didn't he? He's dropped down to 7th.
Ooh.
So that's really harmed him. And I believe someone else on the grid had a penalty. I think it was Andre Molnar who had a penalty because he's now sitting in 12th. So he's dropped a position. It's put Kevin Barnes into the top 10. But yeah, I think it'll be Jonah, Max, Yannick. Everyone that's on the chat, who do you think will be the top 3 in the race? And who do you think, of course, will be our race winner? And I like the formation lap. It builds up that anticipation, ready for the race. You can see the drivers getting prepared and ready to head off towards the grid. And we still don't have Dear Demi... Demi Chorley, or that's how you say it still. I'll keep trying, but I'm not very good with Turkish names. because Mikey B's still in his spots, and hopefully Mikey just retires after lap 1 because we don't want someone who's 4 seconds off racing in this lobby.
Well, he seems ambitious. He's got the softs on.
Well,
And
that's
speaking
true.
of ambition, interesting pick by Drake Dempsey. He might just prove us all wrong at race start at the very least into turn 1. He's on the mediums against a whole lot of cars with hard tires on.
Yeah, so this could work out for Drake. Obviously, it worked out for Jarno, but I think Jarno's, you know, he's probably one of the best in the game. So no matter what strategy he does, it most likely will work out. So that's interesting for Drake, going for a bit of a different strategy. But remember, it is a social race, so you know it is time for testing different strategies. You're not going to worry about a championship at this point. Ben Marple's also going for the soft tyres there, which is a bit of an interesting strategy. And Mikey B also starting on the softs. And Harlem was disqualified because he didn't actually move off the line, I don't think, because his car's still there. But Jan Martins lines up on pole with Max Fiesel, and now we're going to watch the final few cars come out of the final corner to begin the race. But Zataxta, you can take it away.
Oh, the moment we've all been waiting for. Race starts to something else, isn't it, Nathan? I'm pretty sure whether you're sitting inside one of those cars, IRL, or in the game itself. It's F1 23. What more would you like? And I think if there's one spot, one driver who's comfy, it's the one on pole, Jonah, ahead of Max as the 5 lights should come out any moment now. And away we go. Jonah gets a stellar start. Max to follow. Camel to follow. Ferrari, McLaren, Ferrari, Red Bull. Drake Dempsey on the mediums, but doesn't quite have the pace to take 2 cars, but might just take one into turn 1. The Ferrari is still in the lead. The other Ferrari trying to hold off for Red Bull, and the McLaren in between. Drake Dempsey on the mediums. Didn't quite get the stellar start he'd want. In the midfield as Ben Marples gets the jump on other drivers on that set of softs.
Yeah, but I'm watching the battle in the midfields now. Currently, Ben Marple's going for a move on Bogdan Moldovan to get himself into the top 10 and also fighting with the Haas of Kevin Ballas there. Now, he's on the softs, so he will be a lot quicker than other drivers. And currently, we've got a battle with, I think this is Camel and Drake going side by side. Drake just gets ahead and Camel has a bit of a snap. Nearly gets caught by Floris, who's made 2 positions on this opening lap so far. And will also be looking to try and get himself past Camel Zahir now as he comes through out of turn 9. And I think Floris is going to come alongside. Is he? No, he's not. He's just a bit too far back for now. And also, that's Benny Fabus also looking for a move on Jana Kinchi, but just not quite close enough there, going in towards turn 10. And at the moment, Floris looking 2 tenths back, and he'll hit the back of Camel through turn 12. So we'll be looking to try and get himself into that top 4. His teammates in the top 3. We're going to spin at the bottom. That's Corne de back up. Down in 20th position now. He's had a spin down at the exit of turn 11. And Jana Martin's fastest lap, as he's the one who started the race on first and ended the first lap in first. And now we watch Floris as he comes down in towards turn 1.
Yeah, in the midfield, it obviously seems Ben Marples is on a stellar start. He's up in a P10 so far. He's going to be looking to get some positions early into this race. I'd like to think so on that fresh set of softs. And he's closing in on the Haas. Will peek down the inside, going out sector 1. Purple sector 1, in fact, for him. But he's still stuck behind the Haas. The Haas is doing a stellar job at keeping this AlphaTauri at bay.
Yeah, and the two Hasses are working together well, and Ben, you can see he's got a bit more grip, but he just can't get through, and that's the issue sometimes you have on this track. At the first call, actually, you've got to try and get a move in, but when you've got people like Kevin who's defending perfectly, it's not always so easy to do, even on those better tyres. So we now come down out of turn 9, better grip for Ben. Can he get it done this time? Round the outside at turn 10, you've got to brake later. So he's going to go for a switch back up the inside. He does manage to make the switch back work, and also going to look to get both Hasses. There we are, Ben Marples, double overtake on both the Hasses, down at turn 10 and 11. Great move. Now he's going to have to start charging after Chana Kinchi, but remember, Ben's tyres will start to die very quickly, and there's a bit of lag on the stream. I'll quickly turn down the graphics 1 second.
Yeah, what a way, honestly, what a way to pick them both off in a matter of a corner. Ben Marples, those Haas's are now sitting ducks ahead of an Alfa Romeo, getting in between the pair. I believe there was contact as well, and that is a Haas on the gravel, trying his best to get back onto track. Safe re-entry, probably not as much as they'd like it to be. The rest of the drivers out on track, but somehow there hasn't been a pretty big incident, and Bogdan getting wheel to wheel alongside that Aston Martin of Felipe Sousa. They bump wheels as well as they go through sector 2, and easy now, boys. Let's be respectful. Onwards to sector 2 they go, and that Aston Martin gets ahead of the Alfa Romeo. Up in a P12 he goes, Felipe.
Yeah, very nice there from Felipe. And sorry about the stream lag there. It should be a bit better now. as we head through. But yeah, there is always going to be time for amendments. And Harlem's out.
Oh.
He's out down at turn 8. So now what does that mean? Because also we've got Chana Kinch who's had an incident trying to catch up to him there. He's gone down at turn 10. And it seems we don't have safety car enabled, which I thought we did. But I guess we don't because we didn't get one for Harlem there. And let's hope it's not a glitch, but I don't think it is. Right, Max Wiesel takes fastest lap. He's charging him after Yona. Then into turn 1. Is he close enough to make a move? He's going to go to the inside. He brakes later. Send it down, but Jonah will try and fight it back. Can he? No, he can't fight it back. So there we are, Max Wiesel into the lead now. And actually, Jona's got a great run out at turn 2. He's now going to be literally bump drafting Max down into turn 4. Can he try and get a move? He's looking for him the outside then. Max just having to have a bit of a twitch to get out the way and still keeps that lead. Now Drake Dempsey also sitting right behind as well as they head down to turn 5. At the moment, it seems like it's a battle between the McLaren, Ferrari and the Red Bull.
Yeah, opportunity for Drake. If it's anything, 2 hard runners in front of him, fighting, getting too close to each other. It's what he wants while being on those mediums. For how much longer, who knows? Because as it stands, he needs to be in the lead sooner than later. Right behind Camel's not too far behind either, and neither is Flores. As Sector 2 lights up yellow briefly, I'd imagine that's slow-moving Aston Martin of sorts. But yeah, Drake Dempsey still on the charge, patiently waiting for a Ferrari and a McLaren to probably take each other out.
Yeah, and we've migrating host, so I believe that means Harlem's gone. Hopefully it doesn't cause any issues. And we've had Chanakinchi out of the session, down at the exit of turn 5, turn 6. Now, will that cause a safety car network? So we don't have safety car enabled, it seems, which I thought we did. I think it confirms it now. And also, what's happened? Because Jona's 2 seconds ahead. Now, Flores looking for a move up the inside of Camel Sasha, or Camel Sasha will go for a move on Ferrari standing towards turn 1. They go side by side. The Ferrari just about ahead as they head out to turn 1. So now going through turn 2 and 3. And I think Camel's just got himself nicely ahead. But I don't know what's happened there because Jona's just gapped 4 seconds now in a lap. I do not know how that's happened, but it has.
Yeah, that's unusual, isn't it? Could have been because of the host being migrated, could be anything, but the race goes on as you'd expect. And we've got Max still ahead of the likes of Drake Dempsey, who's getting not as close as he'd want to off that McLaren.
We've got Desync.
Yeah.
Felipe's up in 3rd. Oh no. Well, issues have arisen, but we'll continue as, yeah, Jona's 7 seconds ahead. Is that my issue? Is the question.
No, it's the same on my end as well, so I'd expect it to be an entirety.
Do we get a restart? Because
probably
there's obviously an issue now.
Yeah, I'd expect so. Let's have a look.
Yeah, because
surprisingly enough. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, at the moment, there's definitely issue. My end, right. I think we might need to rejoin the lobby. Because there's big desync for my end.
Yeah, I believe it's a lobby issue more so than just you, Nathan. And by the looks of it, it is slowly correcting itself. Apart from the gap between Jonah and Max, that's clearly extending itself more and more. But the rest of the pack still close enough by the looks of it. And Ben Marple's only.
Right. We're going to leave the session and join back because we've got issues with desync. Great. So we'll rejoin the session. But yeah. It's the joys of F1. Remember, guys, we're only 2 days into release. It is early access, so these issues will happen. But we should get ourselves back in very shortly and hopefully continue the race. But it's
better now than during the season, surely enough.
Well, that's very true. Indeed.
Yep.
I'm going to try and join back in.
And so. I hope this isn't any kind of issue, because Yannick Schmidt just stellarly pulling out lap after lap, fastest lap after fastest lap, which is great to see from someone running in P7 on the hards, mind you. He's got someone on the softs chasing him. Of course, that someone being Ben Marples since the start. 7 laps on the softs itself. And I think right now, by the looks of his sector times, it might just be slowly degrading, but here comes, I don't know if you can see it, but Andre Molnar on Ben Marples. Not something I'd expected to see. A hard runner on a soft runner trying to make a move, and he's done it. Andre on Ben. The Mercedes makes the move for P8 and is up and running. And so does Benny Fabos.
We're back, which is great. And I'm sorry I missed that move there from Andre, but the gap's now 2.6 between P5 and P6 at the moment. Yannick's all on the back of Drake going through that middle set, so we should see try and get a move off shortly as well as they come through. Turn 12 and 13, and hopefully everything's sorted. If it's not, I'm very sorry everyone, but it's practically out my control at this point. As we now head through out of the final corner, down towards turn 1. DRS for Yannick. Is it enough to get through and Drake down into turn 1 to split the Red Bulls and put Yannick into the top 4? And I don't think it will be enough. No, it won't. And Jona also really close to the back of Max Fields now as they go through turn 2. And also Florian's got a great run coming through turn 3. Gonna go for on the outside. Can't make it work. So he's going to have to try and get it down into turn 4.
Oh, Ben Marple's now having the best time out there now on those softs. They're completely gone by the looks of it. He's lost more than just one place. Actually, he tried coming back for his place against Cameron and sticks to P9 so far.
Yeah, no, I'm currently watching the back of Flores because he's 1/10 behind Jona in that middle set now going through turn 7 and 8. So he's got some really great pace there. And Jona's gone a little bit wide, I think, because Flores has gained he's literally less than 10th behind. So we'll go on board with Flores now. Can he try and get a move into turn 10 and get ahead of Jona? But Jona's got a bit more straight line speed, I believe, going into there. And he gets himself ahead. And Zataxu, are you still with us?
Yeah, I'm just doing the same thing you did so that we can get the timesheets right, basically.
All good. And I'm now going to go back down and watch Andre Molnar. He's right on the back of Benny Fabos now. They've swapped positions down for P6 and 7 now as we come through the final corner. And also Liam Stevens sitting right behind in this battle as well. As we now head down in towards turn 1. Can Andre get himself ahead? He's got the inside line. Liam also looking to make it 3 wide. Down into turn 1. Who will be ahead? Will it be Liam? It will be Liam. Gets 2 positions down there. Lots of straight line speed. Got the right opportunity. But actually, he's lost it. He's gone wide. He's gone very wide. Down at turn 2. That's going to allow Andre to get himself back through. And also Benny Fabos. As we now head down into turn 4, it's the inside line for Liam. Can he try and make it work? Because Andre's going to have the inside line down into turn 5. This is the close one. We've also going nearly 3 wide as well. Behind me, Bogdan, Benny, and Ben and Miltos as well down into turn 5. And I think Andre's just got himself ahead of Liam. Yes, he has right now. The battle for P10. Cavalry's Ben and Kevin, they're all sitting right behind each other as they come through the end of turn 8, heading through and towards turn 9 with the DRS zone. And now Liam's got DRS. Has he got it in towards turn 10? He's 6 behind, so he's going to have to look for it into turn 1. As you head through, out to turn 10, through towards turn 12 now, from 11 and 12. And currently, Max Vito still leads the race ahead of Jona Martins as we go through. If Jona going to look for a move on this time around, I don't think he will be just close enough, but we'll have to see. As he now flies down in towards turn 1 with the DRS, with the slipstream, with the ERS. Is he going to go for it? He does go for it. Puts himself into the lead of the race. Max tries to fight back, but just can't get to it now. This could be an opportunity for Max because Jona went a little bit deep into turn 2. And now it's allowed Max to have the inside line through to turn 4. And this will be a very close one. Into turn 4. Can Max make it work? No, he can't. So he's 6 behind just for now. Right, the battle, yes, again, down for P10. Ben Marple's now trying to get through on Benny Fabos into P9. So his softs seem to be dying, but they've got a bit of power still left in them to try and get himself ahead of the Haas as they head now down into turn 5. There's 7/10 gap between Benny and Bogdan, so he's got to try and pick up his pace a little bit to catch back onto the back of the Alfa Romeo as we head through. Up to turn 7 and 8 now, and also, yet again, that's Liam and Andre getting very close for comfort as well as they came through turn 7 and 8. Now down in towards turn 10 with the DRS, and also that's, I think, Ballas they're getting through on Ben Marple's, and I think it's starting to be a bit more clear now. Marple's tyres are absolutely fried, and he's not going to be able to do much now from this point, and he is 10 laps in, so it is expected for his tyres to be a little bit more dead at this point of the race now on 10-lap old tyres. And now we'll have a look at Frank Mraviak, who haven't spoken at all about this race. He's looking for a move on Miltos Karfaludis and Max Wiesel. Still fighting Jona Martins there into turn 1. Not sure if they had a bit of one passed and the other one passed back because it seemed like there was literally no gap between them on my timing screens. As we now head through turn 3, still Liam looking to get something on Andre, but just can't get himself through. These two will be fighting all race because one lap we got Andre defended Liam next way. It's completely the other way around, and obviously that's due to the DRS just being a really good aid around here, especially down into turn 1, also down to turn 10. It seems it's been a bit more improved than it was on the last game, and we'll just keep an eye on Flores as well because I noticed that gap there going just under a 10th as we went through turn 8 then. I think I think Jona's just pulled it back, so not too harmful for Jona just yet.
All right, Nathan, I guess I'll have to join the viewers when watching this stream due to a couple of issues on my end. But yeah, it's interesting to see how Max has been able to hold on to that lead for so long. Jonah's still running up there, hasn't quite lost out one bit. And that is the first set of time penalties coming on board.
That is Ballas there with a 3-second penalty, and I can see a car go to that again. Oh, no, don't say it's happened again. Ben Marple's car's ghosted, which isn't ideal at all. And Conor de Backer gets a 3-second time penalty as well. He's sitting down in 16th, so it isn't too much of an issue for him, as he wouldn't really be fighting for points anyway. Now, Liam Stevens yet again on the back of Andre Molnog, not getting through at turn 1, making a mistake at turn 2 there. You can see just a bit of a bounce on the curb there, and Corday retires in the pit lane, so we'll be bringing the grid now just to about 16 drivers. And also, don't worry, that was just the lapped car of Mikey B, who's sitting down in 18th, and Cameron Dowds takes the fastest lap as he's pitted. I didn't notice that.
Tobacco just retired from the session, so that's retirement number 3. And yeah, Max still holding on to that lead as you'd expect. And in the midfield, a pretty huge gap that's extended from Andre.
Yep, and the unfortunate part for you is Taxter. You're about 15 seconds behind on the stream.
I reckon, yeah. I'm going to make sure I correct myself every now and then. But yeah, I'm along with the viewers. So viewers, what do you all think? Who do you all think is going to come out on top?
And now we come through out of turn 10, and breaker marker board's been completely obliterated through that corner. I believe that was Max Fiona who took them two out. But you don't need to worry, you don't need to brake at turn 14. So, you don't get much reference there with those marker boards. As we now head down into turn 1 yet again, and Iona just sitting behind, not making a pass yet on Max Fiesel. Now we look back at Liam, who's right behind Andre, as always on these past 4 or 5 laps. And that's a spin round. Someone's gone round. Who's that? Or is that someone out the way? No, that's Cornet's car. That's a false alarm. Cornet's car just went a bit... it went off the track, and I thought someone in that top 5 spun out, but no. No worries there. It was just a DNF car. Right, Drake there was about 900s behind the back of Flores there, so I think Flores made a mistake through that middle sector. Yannick Schmidt also now sitting right behind these, and at the moment, my call for the top 3 was Jona, Max, Yannick, and at the moment it's Max, Jona, Flores. So I've got 2 out of 3 correct, but Yannick's got to make 2 positions up if he wants to make that possible.
Yeah, he's not too far behind, and based on a couple of fast laps earlier on in the race itself, I reckon he still has a lot in the tank to go. I was just going to mention Flores not having the best of times. I know he's still up there. He's still running P3, but I just had a look at chats in a couple of places, and it turns out he's been fumbling quite a bit and not having the best times. Hopefully it changes in the next 20 laps left in this race. We're only on lap number 13, and we've got 3 retirements so far.
Yep, so nearly that halfway point now, about 3 laps all the halfway points of the race, and seems at the moment the top 2 will, I think it'll be either Jona or Max at this point who will win the race. I think Flores has got the pace, but I think with these two, with how equal they are, it's going to be a lot for Jona to get through. And Camille, I believe, might have pitted because he's on... Oh no, he's just made a mistake. He's all the way down in 14th. I didn't see that one at all, so I don't know what's happened there. I think I might have been at the lobby when that happened. But Camille's all the way down in 14th position now, which is a big shame for him. Obviously looking one of the quickest in the lobby, and he's actually right behind Felipe Sousa now as they go down into turn 5. So is there a bit of damage there for Camille? Because he's right under pressure now as they head up in towards turn 7 and 8. Felipe seems a little bit quicker throughout the race has gone on. Picked up a bit more pace right on the back of Camille. He's got the DRS going into turn 10, so this will be a good advantage for him to see if he can get something to work. Get himself into that top 14, but I don't think it'll be close enough. No, he won't. So just not close enough this time around, but he's got more opportunities down into turn 1. Then obviously we've still got another 17, 18 laps after the race, so he's got more and more opportunities as the race unfolds, as long as he can stick himself within that 1 second DRS zone. And Ben Marples now decides to pit 15 laps on those softs, so he took them a long way before deciding to pit. And Molnar has lost a couple of positions into turn 1 as Bogdan and Liam both get thrown him there down at turn 1. So Liam seems now into the top 6, 5 seconds back off Yannick. So all this battling is losing them so much time. So at the moment, they're not fighting for a top 5. They're fighting for a top 10 between P6 and P10. And Molnar out looking to try and get back through on Bogdan. Can he get it into the inside at turn 5? No, he can't. So just a bit too far back for now. The gap's 2 tenths between those two and Liam there. I'm not sure what happened to Andre, but he lost a couple of positions. And I think he lost Liam's before turn 1, and then Bogdan just slipped it up the inside, I think. So it might have also been a bit of Andre not knowing where to go exactly and just trying to get himself out the way. And Franek has left the session, so I believe he's had an issue. His end. Hopefully it's not an issue our end. And he's now sitting in length. He's, 3 seconds back off his train. If he's left the session, he'll just drop back completely with the AI. As we now head through, and Felipe has got ahead of Camille, and the gap's 3/10 between those two. So we missed that little battle for 13th. As we head down, and that's Kevin Ballas going into the pit lane now. So we'll be going on to a set, I believe, of medium tyres now. Bogdan Moldovan looking for him over on Lim, seems to put himself into the top 6. Jona's got ahead of Max Wiesel. They're going to fight up turn 2 and into turn 3. And yet again, Jona going a bit deep. But I think he's been able to correct that line going through turn 3. And he'll just keep himself ahead of Max Wiesel. So now, between now and lap 20, I think we'll see the tyres. We'll see people pitting onto new tyres. And obviously, ones who start on the hards will go into mediums. Ones who start on mediums will definitely go to hards. And Karafalidis is always also in the pit lane as well. He's going to go into some, I believe he started on the hards as well, so we'll go into some mediums. Floris sitting right behind Max Wiesel there to try and get himself a position before the pit stops happen. And this top 5 will all pit in similar times. But the issue for the Red Bulls is they can't pit at the same time because they've both got the same pit box. So they've got to go one lap different from each other.
I was just going to mention how Liam Stevens has been holding P7 steady so far. And yeah, just keeping it clean. And that's all you would expect to see from a driver in the midfield in arguably where the thickness of the action is usually. But for most part of this race, it has been in the front in the top 4.
It has, and Max Wiesel, Bogdan Moldovan, Liam Stevens, Benny Fabos now all in the pit lane for a new set of tyres. So this is where the battling gets intense because we'll see if the undercut or overcut works. And obviously Camel not pitting, he moves up to P7 now, but obviously he's going to drop all the way back down again because he has still got to do a pit stop. So now the question is, when do the top 4 pit? When do Flores and Drake pit? Because one's got to preferably pit this lap and the other one pits next lap because they can't pit at the same time. And they're going to make sure they don't pit too late because they don't want to do too much of an overcut because that could put them at a disadvantage. So we're going to head up turn 9, watching Yannick Schmidt now, trying to chase down the 2 Red Bulls. Obviously not close enough and won't make a move probably because of this DRS advantage that both of them have got ahead. And I can't see, I don't know if we'll be able to see Flores get through on Yona because it's 4/10 at the moment. But shortly one of them will pit this lap. If not, it'll be next lap. So we'll see. Does Flores look for a move on Yona when they go down into turn 1? He will have the DRS, of course, and Jona pits and Flores pits, so they're both pit, and Yannick Schmidt pits now. So 3 of the top 4 pitting. Drake Dempsey takes the lead of the race now, as he still has to pit, because obviously he can't pit with his teammate. So now I want to go back to Max Wiesel, because I want to see where he comes out compared to his training. The issue is now he's stuck behind Felipe Sousa, which is not what he wants, because Felipe hasn't pitted, his tyres will be slow, and you can see there, Max just trying to get through, but he can't through that section. He's got the DRS on these medium tyres now. Where do these guys come out compared to Max? Max comes in the pit lane and completely flies past them. So this has worked heavily for Max, but actually, Jona's going to come out close to Felipe Station and comes out behind. So this has worked really badly for Jona now, because he's going to be held up by the Aston Martin, which really is not what he wants.
And Drake Dempsey needs to be putting in stellar laps for a couple more laps until when he decides to finally pit. He's been on that medium since start, if my memory serves me right. And yeah, battles continue in the top 5.
Yeah, and that was Forrest there getting through on Felipe along with Jonah Martins down at turn 4 and turn 5. And then the gap between the gap between Max and Jona is 1.2 seconds. So, because of the issue for Jona with the pits coming out behind Felipe, it's gave Max that advantage now with the DRS. He doesn't have any, whereas Floris does. So we can see Floris now trying, if he wants to, try and get a bit of a move done on Jona Martins to get himself into provisional P2. Now, Yannick Schmidt has come out behind Felipe and he can't get back through. So he's got to figure something out, possibly down at turn 1, surely. He'll just get at something due to the better traction and grip he's got on those newer tyres. As we head out, Max Wiesel takes the fastest lap there at 1:13.036. Flores got the DRS. Can he try and get through on Jona Martins at turn 1? He's got the inside line, gets ahead of Jona before the braking zone and puts himself up into the provisional P2 now. That's Bogdan and Kevin, fighting for 9th, along with Ben Marples as well, all fighting for this position. It's like what we saw in, I think it was Spain, with the Alpha Tauri, the Alfa Romeo, and the Haas all fighting together to try and get themselves a position each ahead. Now, Kevin's sitting right behind Bogdan. Bogdan's behind Ben, but the issue that Ben's got is Bogdan and Kevin both have the advantage of DRS. Ben has none. He's 2.6 seconds back off Camille. So he's at a really, really compromising position at the moment. He's got to just try and figure something out. Obviously, he started on the soft. He's gone to the mediums, Ben has. So if he's gonna try and make these to the end, this could be an interesting strategy. And now Drake Dempsey decides to pick. Where will he come out compared to Floris, Max, and Yana? Because Drake was... Oh, that's a collision there. That's Bogdan being hit there by Liam Stevens. Liam could have a bit of damage there as they come through. With Liam just completely hit Bogdan. Bogdan had an issue with Ben, I think, down at turn 10 going very slow. Benny's got ahead of Liam now because Liam must have some sort of damage, surely. He just pile drive the side of Bogdan, which he did, and he's got damage because he's headed back into the pit lane now. Drake comes out completely behind this train. This has worked out really badly for Drake now because he's actually under pressure from Camel Stager now as they come into turn 1. So he's 1 seconds back. Oh, this has really not worked out because he was in this fight for P1 and he's now sitting about 6 seconds back off of P1.
Yeah, I think going on the mediums that race are probably not the best of ideas for him. Didn't quite work out. But got a feel for Liam Stevens. I mean, with no fault of his own, he found a car right in front of him and was already at a speed he couldn't stop himself from. And yeah, the race continues. Max leads this race ahead of Flores and Jonah, somehow down into P3. Yannick Schmidt, by the looks of it, your prediction might just end up being true, Nathan.
Well, it could be close. It just means Floris needs to make a mistake and lose 2 positions. I'm not wishing that upon anybody. But I'd like my predictions to be correct. Now, Floris has got himself back to 1.1 seconds, so he's very close to the back of Max Wiesel. He's got 2/3 advantage over what Yona had now. So Floris will be looking to try and get DRS ASAP, so he could be using possibly a little bit more ERS just to get himself back into that safe 1 second gap to get DRS on the next occasion. And Felipe Sousa now goes into the pit lane. No, he doesn't. Yes, he does, and he gets a 3 second time penalty along with it. So he's now going to drop down all the way to the rear of the field, probably around P15. P16, and now that puts Drake into the top 5. Kevin Ballas into the top 6 as he gets through on Ben Marples. Down at turn 1. Very nice there from Kevin. He's having a really solid race. Started, I believe, in P10. He's moved himself up to P6. And now we've got a battle. This is Yannick Schmidt fighting Jona Martin. So Jona's made a mistake because Yannick just flew past, and now he's gone wide. So Jona's going to try and get in. Can he get into turn 7? No, he can't. So now Yannick Schmidt in that top 3. And looking to try and possibly get himself a podium. Jona Martins, remember, started on pole position. He's now sitting down in P4, which is really not where he wants to be, considering he started up 3 positions ahead. Now, Floris, is he close enough to that DRS gap? I think he's just on the brink, 1.01 seconds. So he's very close to it now as they come through turn 12, and Floris has got to get a little bit more now into turn 13 and 14. I think he might just about have it as they come through. Does Floris have the DRS? This could be the make or break for Floris now. As they come out the final corner, does he have DRS? Yes, he does. So this is great for Floris now to get himself back into this train, fighting for P1. And now, Yannick's sitting 8 tenths back, so he's going to gain a little bit more time on Floris. You could see Floris just push there on that last lap, because Yannick's gone from being about 5 tenths back to 8, so he's lost 3 or 4 tenths there on just that lap alone. Now, Jona Martin's sitting 6 tenths back, so he's starting to drop back a little bit now so far, so I'm not sure how that's come around. But Drake has also gained time. Remember, he was about 5 seconds back, he's now 4.1. So, yeah, it's not... It seems Jona's just dropped off a little bit, but I don't know if that could be due to saving tyres or if he just has lost a little bit of pace in the next part of this race. And Drake, 4.1 seconds back, so he could be looking, if he can, to try and get himself involved in this battle a bit closer to the end of the race, because remember, the hards near the end should be a little bit better than the mediums at the end, but you've got to, he's got 4 seconds to make up. That's a lot of time to make up in 11 laps, with both of them having degrading tyres, so it's going to be close, but if Drake wants to make it, he's got to really, really push now on these next 10 laps. But Black...
Yeah, Jonas...
Carry on.
Jona's probably the only one out of 17 left who could probably afford to, relax a bit, try to save some tires, because if the rest of the 3 are up in front try that, they're probably going to lose a position, as I'd expect to see in the next couple of laps.
Yeah, and Floris Wise takes the lead of the race, and he gets through Max Wiesel with the pair of DRS down towards turn 1, and now Yannick Schmidt also looking to get a bit of time on the back of Max as well. He's just sitting 1.6 tenths back into turn 4. Can he make a move? No, he can't, but he's right on the back there, and Yannick is on soft tyres. Yannick's on soft tyres along with Drake. This is interesting. So we've gone hard soft for Yannick, hard soft for Yannick, medium soft for Drake, and then we've gone hard medium for Floris, Max, and Yona. So now I understand why Yannick's a bit quicker than Yona, because he's on soft tyres, which I didn't notice. That's an interesting one. So it seems they want to see if the hard soft works, along with Drake want to see if the medium soft works. So we've got lots of different strategies being put into play so far now. And at the moment, these softs are holding off well, but they've got to go another 10 laps, or they've got to pit again. But 15 laps on softs, the softs will be very dead near the end, surely.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Ben Marple start struggling about lap 8 itself, going in a lap 10 or so. So I don't think it's going to last 15 laps, but who's to say no? It's Yannick and Drake Dempsey. If it's anyone, it's probably the two drivers who find themselves in the top 5 of this race so far.
And Cameron pitted off his hards on lap 10, so he's gone 14 laps on these tyres. He's got to go another 10, so he'll take his mediums 24 laps unless he pits again. So it's nice to see this variety of strategy. On the last game, it was everyone hard to medium, apart from one driver maybe try medium hard. But now we've got many different strategies. We've got the hard medium, we've got the medium soft, the hard soft. We've got the hard medium, but the hard's been taken off a lot earlier than the mediums. So there's lots of different strategies going on, and I think at this point, you can't really call what will work. But Drake is gaining lots of time now on the back of Yona. He's 3.4 seconds back. So in the past 2 laps, he's gained about 5 tenths. So it's going to be a close call for Drake if he can try and get himself back into that train. But never say never. If these top 4 start battling very hard, Drake's going to reel them all in as we get through into the closing stages of the race. We've got about 9 laps left of the race, 24 out of 33. And currently, Floris Fires leads, and he's broken 1 second to Max Wiesel, which is critical now. I think Max has just got back in, but he hasn't got DRS. That's the critical part. Now, Yannick Schmidt has got DRS. He's got probably better tyres. So Yannick could now be looking to try and take that P2. So it's all changing around now. We're looking at possibly a Floris Yannick Max or a Floris Yannick Yona as we go through turn 3. Kevin Bass has had an incident. He's dropped a couple of positions down at turn 1 as we got Bogdan Mulder on that, fighting with Ben and Kevin. They're all fighting actually down at turn 3 now. And will any of these make a move into turn 4? I don't think they will. But Kevin, they're going a little bit wide. And actually, just get it. No, he doesn't. He doesn't get ahead. He stays behind of Ben for now. And sometimes I'll get confused between the Haas and the Avatar because they look very similar. So I got quite confused there and thought one passed, but no, they didn't. They just, we just saw a different camera angle. But now we look further back up the field to Schmidt, 4 tenths back off of Max Wiesel. Max got himself back into the gap and we've got an incident. That's one of the Mercedes. That's Andre Molnar down at turn 5. He's had an incident on the exit of turn 4. He's had that incident, I believe. He's now dropped back down to 13th with a penalty. So not ideal at all for Andre. Not close to any points at all. At the moment, Franek, who obviously did join back into the session, with penalties, he could be looking to get himself 1 cheeky point. See if he can get himself ahead of Felipe and then close himself down into Miltos. As I believe we haven't really got many battles going on right now on the grid. We've got still this battle here between Bogdan, Ben, Kevin and Benny, all fighting for that P7 position. P7, P6 all the way down to P9. And now Ben's pulling alongside Bogdan into turn 1. He gets ahead of Bogdan now. Do we see anything from Kevin? I don't think we do. And will Bogdan be able to fight back down into towards turn 4? It'll be close, but I just don't think he's close enough just yet. And now back at Yannick, who's looking to get a move back on Max down at turn 5.
Yeah, so far from where I'm sitting, the Haas is once again the highlight of the midfield, and almost thought Williams lost his front wing, which is highly unlikely. Both Yannick as well as Karafalidis back in the midfield have been having relatively cleaner runs. Not so much for Kara, considering he's got a penalty so far. But yeah, I'm just still curious to see what happens to Yannick and Drake on the softs. I don't see those softs lasting till the end, but I really hope they prove me wrong.
Well, I think the softs will last then, because I believe someone, I can't remember who it was, did go, I think it was Ben who went 15 laps on his softs. So they do make 15 laps, but if it works, if it's going to be a strategy that works, I'm not sure. They've got 5 laps to go. Yannick's on 9 lap old softs now. He's got to either push and get ahead of Max and Forrest, or he's got to nurse them to the end and then just try and go for a last minute push. But these softs, we've heard, they don't look too bad. So it's a hard one. But if these softs work, I'm happy because it means more strategies work in the game. Because look at Drake, he's sitting he's on 7 lap old softs, he's 2.6, so he's gained 2.5 seconds in 4-5 laps. So technically, Drake would be right behind Jonah if he started to bring the gap down as he is now. We've had an incident. That's Is that Molnar's? So Molnar's retired in the pit lane. Liam's retired in the pit lane. We've had an incident down at turn 3 or 4. That's Liam's car. So he's going to pull off to the side now and retire. And yeah, Mikey B's 2 minutes back. So he's been lapped completely. I don't know if he's left the session. Because at the moment, he's 2 minutes back off the DNF car. All right, as we head through now. In towards turn 13 and 40, Yannick Schmidt 4/10 back off Max Wiesel, needing to get himself through, and Yannick's got a penalty. Yannick has got a penalty. I didn't see that one at all. When did that come through? And is it a 3 second or is it more? So it's just 3 seconds there for Yannick, which isn't ideal at all. At all. He's going to drop him. Oh, it could drop him behind Drake at this point, so it could put Yannick back onto P3. Put Drake just into P4 because you can see that gap's coming down. It's about 3.2 seconds between Drake and Yannick. So it's a very close call between these two. And then we head down into turn 4, and that's a yellow flag again. That's a Mercedes of André Molnar's car retiring. Off of track down at turn 4. Now, Max and Floris are 3/10 close to each other now, so they're gaining a lot of time on each other. And Max obviously wanting to win the race. He's in a good position now with his with the strategy because he's got the DRS he can use on the final lap, whereas Floris has not. So Floris has got to save up his ERS and defend. We're going to have a look at the telemetry so we can see the ERS of them all. So, Floris on 13, Max on 24, Yannick on 49.51, Joran on 29, and then Drake on 22. So at the moment, the best ERS usage is going to Yannick. He's used half his battery, whereas everyone else has used a lot more. So to be fair, Yannick's got a lot more in the tank to use in the final parts of the race, so that could be what helps him. Just hold on to this train with those tyres because we've got 4 laps to go. It's 11 laps. These tyres are dropping off, but they won't drop off that much down towards turn 1. And Max there, I thought was going to go for a move on the back of Floris, but just not close enough into turn 1. We're going to go back to the gap to interval. There we are. As we can see now, we head down in towards turn 4, and Bogdan getting ahead of Marples now into turn 1. Puts himself into P6. So we've seen these two going at it all race. Kevin's got a penalty, so he won't really be fighting for much of this. He's just involved in the fun battle. But it'll put Benny into P8. Franek has lost time to Felipe, so he might not get that P10 now because of him dropping back a bit. Yannick's gained onto the back of Max. They're about 3/10 abreast. Jonas 3/10 behind Yannick, and Drake is gaining, but I don't think it's enough now. He's 2.6 back, so he's staying. That gap was like this 2 laps ago, so it seems he's not gaining as much as he wants to now. As we head through in towards turn 12 now, and I think Ben, yet again, very close. Has he got the DRS then? He has got the DRS, but has he got enough power down towards turn 10? We've got the 2 Hasses, though, fighting for P8 and 9 into turn 10. Kevin up the inside, and I think that's actually, it's Benny on the outside there. They're making wheel-to-wheel contact into turn 12, I think. Benny nearly took Kevin Ballas out there, down at turn 12, and they're still banging wheels through turn 13. Side by side, one of them goes off, and I think they make contact more through turn 14. Now, these two just looking to the task to hit each other off first. As we now head down to turn 1, DRS for one, not for the other. Ben Marbles gets ahead of Bogdan, but these two, and it seems, Kevin's just backed off. But that was very close. It was more of the task of, right, which one's going to get punted off first? Because it'd be one pushing the other, then it'd be the other way around, and oh my god, that was something. And it's not the first time we've seen Hasses make silly decisions, is it? And now Kevin's dropped 2.6 seconds back, so has he got damage? I think I was just
going to bring that. I was just going to bring that up, how it's always the horses, but it's got to be something that Kevin initiated first out the final corner from where I was sitting, which is unfortunate to see. But somehow they are still P8 and P9 given the big gaps.
Yep, and I don't know. I was just checking to see if Kevin had a puncture, but I don't think he does. I think he's just got a bit of damage, or he's just let off and thought, "Oh, I can't be bothered now." But just watching Bogdan, looking to get back through on Ben. These two are fighting for position, obviously, for P6. So this one's not going to be over until the final lap. Now, back to the front, because Max Wiesel gaining lots on Floris-wise. Can he try and take the lead to turn 1? No, he can't. So he stays back for, and you can see he stayed back, because he didn't really, he kind of let off the throttle down into turn 1. So he doesn't want to make it yet. He's probably best bet. He's probably to make it on lap 32 and 33. We're going to turn the telemetry off now as we head down. There we are. To the final couple laps. So we've got 2 laps remaining. And currently, it is Floris Wise leading, and Kevin's retired in the pit lane, so he's out of the race. So now that puts Vanek up into P11, puts Cameron to P12, and Cameron put himself up into 14th. He's pitted onto some soft tyres. So now, we've got more cautions, because I think that's going to be Kevin's car coming back onto track to retire. But now, the battle is between the top 4 now for the win. It's Floris, Max, Yannick, and Jona. They're all within 4 tenths of each other. It could be any of them, because yes, it's realistically going to be the top 2, but if one of them makes a mistake, or both make a mistake, then any one of these 3 could, the other 2 could come back through. Drake's 2.3 seconds back, so he's pretty much out of this battle for the lead, but he's still going to keep that P5 because he's 12 seconds ahead of Ben Marples. But now, Floris has gapped heavily on Max Wiesel. The gap's at 8 tenths, going on to lap 32 of 33, so the penultimate race. Penultimate lap of the race, and we head down to turn 1. Yannick, we're also looking to gain on the back of Max. Is it enough though into turn 1? I don't think it is. 2 tenths behind, but yeah, just not close enough there to make anything work, because we now head up turn 3, and the gap's 3 tenths. I don't think it's enough on lap 32. He's got to do it on the final lap if he wants to make anything work. Jona Martins, he's sitting 4 tenths back, so he's not going to make anything work either. His end, unless he just needs to benefit from the mistakes of anyone ahead. But Yannick obviously has the penalty, so it puts Drake ahead, puts Jona ahead. Drake has just dropped outside that 3-second gap now. So I think Yannick might just catch that P4, which is a penalty. A P4 finish is very, very decent. And he's been on great pace, considering he's on those softs, which on last game, they would be having punctures by now. He would not be taking 14 laps on the softs on the previous game. Now, we head down in towards turn 10, and Jona's gained a little bit this time. He's about 2 tenths back. But yeah, not close enough. So if he wants to make something work, he's got to send Yannick into a mistake. Now, we head through. I'm going on board with Max because this is the final lap now as we head through into 13 to 14. Realistically, it's between Max and Floris. Which one will win the race? If you want to, guys, let us know in the chat which one of these 2 or which one of the top 4 will win the race. Now, Max has got the DRS. He's 4 tenths back. Floris weaving just to try and get him out that slipstream now. Into turn 1. Can Max Wiesel take the lead? I think he will. He does get ahead of Floris. So now Max Wiesel to take the lead on the final lap of the race. Now, Floris has got to throw everything at him now on these final 10, 11 corners. Preferably down into that DRS zone. Down at turn 10. He's got to save some battery now on these final few corners. And also, Jan looking to move on Yannick, but just not close enough. Going through into turn 4. And now, we go through, down into turn 5. Floris 4 tenths back, so now Max has got to really put some pressure now. And just got to get his foot down and just try and fly away. Because Floris has got the advantage of DRS down to turn 10. The gap's 4 tenths going through in towards turn 7 and 8. Floris still keeping that gap around 3 tenths. Actually, he's gained about a tenth on Max there, going through that corner. Now, we head down in towards turn 10, and has he got enough? I don't think he has. No, Floris hasn't got enough. So I think this is looking good, and actually Floris has got a penalty. He's got a penalty, so now this puts Jona onto a provisional P2. So we come through into the final few corners now, and this looks pretty done for Max Wiesel, but he's got 2 more corners to conquer to win the social race here for Lobby 2 at PSGL. Now he comes through the final couple of corners. Max Wiesel wins the Spanish Grand Prix, and Floris and Yannick will both drop back to put Jona onto the provisional, well, puts him onto P2, Floris into P3, Yannick in P4, and Drake into the top 5. But what a final race that was, and congrats to the top 3 there. Absolutely great effort from them all. Great racing, and we saw hardly any issues with them all racing. Racecraft was top notch.
That was honestly stellar. To think that the top 4 consistently kept going at it with each other, kept the gaps within Bay of taking a fight to the other, but clearly the soft runners got the short end of the stick at the end of this, and a terrible, last minute penalty struck by some of them in the top 5. You couldn't make this up. Absolute stellar final lap. That kept me on the edge of my seat, honestly.
And I think we can now see that strategies, guys, are going to be possibly making a play in F1 23. Because we saw, obviously, Jana yesterday go for the medium-hard. Different strategy to what we saw in F1 22 many times. We've had the hard-medium working out in this race as well. We've had the medium-soft, the hard-soft. So lots of different strategies working out. So this is looking to be a bit of an interesting game. And also, I've got some audio issues, so I don't know if that's just me or if anyone else has got the issues with the audio on the game there. But what a fun lap, and my throat is absolutely dead. I had to stop a couple of times because I thought I was going to end up passing out. Because it's about 28 degrees, probably hotter than that in my room, so I'm absolutely dying, but that was a mega race. I really enjoyed that, and it'd be nice if you could get a couple of these guys in for an interview, because that's what I want to see. I want to speak to some of these guys and see what they thought of, I think, their first races or first proper league races here on F123. And we're still loaded into the end of the session now, and I believe it might be an issue in my end.
Yeah, I'm genuinely curious how Flores is feeling right now, and so is Max for that matter. That ending was something else. And even in the midfield, I think where it's supposed to be due for some of those drivers who kept it clean till the very end, barely racked up a penalty or two, and managed to cross the finish line in the top 10 at the very least. I think consistency is clearly key when it comes to league races, and this was a social race. So heading into the league races, that's where it's going to count.
It was a mega race, and we'll look at the final classification quickly. So Max Wiesel takes the victory there ahead of Jonas Martins. Floris Wires takes out the top three. We have Yannick Schmidt, Drake Dempsey, Ben Marples, Bogdan Moldovan, Benny Fabos, Felipe Sousa, and Franek Mraviak in the top 10. Franek just about got that P10 position. We have Miltos Karafalidis, Cameron Dowds, Kamil Sasharat, Mikey B, Kevin Ballas, Andre Molnar, Liam Stevens, Conrad Bakker, Chana Kinchi, and finally Harlan Marquis. But what an intensely race that was, and I'm going to see if I can get someone to pop in for an interview quickly before we head on to the other screen. And I'm just going to get onto the chat quickly. And also to what's his name? To Mikey B, who was a random. Thank you for not ruining the stream. Thank you very much. Interviews, anyone. So we're going to get Floris in to the stream. Floris,
Hello.
welcome in. So it's been a long time since I've had you in the commentary box, but welcome in. Explain the race. How did it go for you?
Huh?
Explain the race. How did it go?
Well, qualifying didn't go well. Should have got pole. And P7, starting P7 made me compromise my race. But good fight through the field. Strong pace in the lead. Almost got Max out of DRS, but didn't, unfortunately. He got me on the last lap, got the 3 seconds on the last lap, which was not necessary. And yeah, I'm a bit disappointed, but also, pleased with the pace. It's not the season, and I'm showing my pace, what I can do, but it's still got it.
So, obviously, Yannick and I think it was Drake also tried going from medium soft and hard soft. So, do you think, like from yourself, do you think these different strategies will play a part in league racing throughout this game?
Probably depends on how everything works out. As you can see, we were still quicker, and Yannick couldn't pass. But maybe later on other tracks it could play a part. I don't know. I hope so. But yeah, it's good to see that multiple strategies are being implemented in the game. So but for me, hards to mediums was still the way to go.
Anything from user attacks to quickly before let Flores go?
What?
I said.
Yeah, I was curious. Flores, at Racestart, clearly you started at P7. You found yourself battling in the top three very soon. How did that feel?
It felt good. I had the pace. I really had the pace. I had the good pace in the car. It felt good to fight my way through, and eventually got P1 until the final lap. Basically, the final lap nagged me, but just hoped I showed my pace, and this is more has to come for league racing.
Yeah. So Flores, thanks for joining us. We hope to see you in league racing throughout the game. I'm sure we will. Anyway,
of course.
Thank you, and we'll speak to you next time. So have a good one. And Drake, the other Red Bull, welcome in. So you tried a completely different strategy to many drivers, and explain us, how did that go for you?
It went all right. I under pit stop, I forgot which button I assigned to the damn manual pit stop, because now you can actually do that this game. So yeah, I lost probably like a good second in the pit stop, so I could have maybe gotten P3 if but strategy wasn't bad. It was probably not the best one. Hard soft, I believe, was probably better than that in the race, but regardless, I think it was pretty good and showed a good ability to save tires, and pace was all right. I mean, I could have done better, but still learning. It's different race for everybody, and setup was pretty decent. But I just hope that it's better in league racing because I just got into a few scrabbles that were kind of dangerous.
Yeah.
Almost got Esteban Ocon versus Alonso at the end. Except those off turns,
Which is not
but
ideal at all.
no, it's not. But regardless, I'm not really gonna say too much about that since it's a social race. So I think I've done enough and learned enough to be
Yeah.
able to do and bring it into next week.
And to be fair, the soft tyres, considering you did about 15 laps on them, they did hold off pretty well. And to be fair, it wasn't like you was losing lots of time on those final laps either. I think you lost a couple of tenths. So it's nice to see those soft tyres with a bit more durability. Obviously, like Throwy said, other tracks you might be able to see them soft tyres making more of a difference. But for now, I think seeing those different strategies really helped. Obviously, it was clear that the hard medium was a bit quicker, but it was. I think it was nice to see those softs making a return. But Drake, thanks for joining us, and we hope to see you back in PSGL soon.
Yep.
So I'm just gonna camera screen back on quickly as a texter. You got your camera on. There we go. I'm just gonna quickly get it back. There we go. So that's over, and you can see my face is very red. I absolutely feel dead right now. But that was a great race to kick it off for 23. My first race commentating on this game, and it's my second. This will be my second full cycle of F1 game commentating, so I can't wait for it either. The game's just a lot better. We've seen about 4 different strategies, making a part. Making a part to play in the race. So I think going into next, you got I think PCF1 begins next week, if I'm sure, and obviously I believe the other tiers will begin in a few weeks' time. So yeah, it'll be nice to see all these different strategies making an appearance. Obviously, setups as well will improve over time. Obviously, we're still quite early in, and also there's many drivers who are at the top level that haven't been able to play the game yet because they haven't got it till the 16th, which is tomorrow. But Taxter, what did you think of it for your first race here on F123?
Yeah, I mean, to think that the top 5 had the running that they had was stellar to see, to start off with. And of course, the varying strategies that you mentioned multiple times, clearly, it's going to factor into this season as a whole, any kind of league that everybody's waiting for. Because I remember the last game, we didn't quite enjoy. Neither did the viewers nor did the drivers every time we saw someone running out on the softs come the last 10 laps or so in a race. So it's going to be interesting to see on the strategy front and the racing front as well, in fact. And I think the talent pool in PSGL continues to be stellar. And we're going to see some pretty impressive races going into the season.
Yeah, definitely, and I can't wait to be back with PSGL. Obviously, I'm not sure when we come back for Tier 2 through to whichever tier it is, Tier 5 I think, or Tier 6 that gets streamed. But hopefully it is in the next month or so, maybe 5-6 weeks probably. But yeah, can't wait to be back. Obviously, we've got multiple races still. I think we've got a few more social races to go through with the next few weeks. I'll hold my hands up, I'm not too sure, but I believe we have. So if that's the case, I'd be nice to be back on these again. And for a Spain race, that was decent. I don't like Spain, I'll admit it. I don't like the track at all. I've never enjoyed the racing there. But today, it was absolutely amazing racing, especially with that top 5. And also, the likes of Bogdan and Ben as well, fighting down in the midfield. It shows, you're able to have battles throughout the whole field. Remember, these guys are split by 3 tiers, so they're not all at this top level. So if you got this battling with these guys, never mind when you've got a 20 driver lobby full of F2 or full of F3 drivers. So I think it's going to get closer and closer as the seasons progress. And like I said before, many people still haven't played the game or have only had a couple of hours on the game because they're not going to get it till the 16th. So there's still many drivers left to. There's still many drivers left to question, will they perform well, will they not perform well? Because I think it's obvious to see some drivers perform really well. Throvis, I think, has made an improvement in this game. Cameron, it seemed, unfortunately, he didn't make much of a representable appearance, unfortunately, finishing down in 12th, which is a shame considering last game he would be in the top 5. So, obviously, you can see that difference between the different drivers in terms of weaknesses and strengths. But enough of this waffling on. We'll be back, I believe, George and Jack will be back next week, I believe, for PC F1. I'm not sure what track is it at. It might be Spain. I'm not sure. But yeah, so Taxter, thank you for joining alongside me. It's great to be here for the first time. Unfortunately, you couldn't commentate half the race because of the issues with the game. But anyway, thanks for joining us, and hopefully we get to commentate sometime again soon.
Yeah, for sure. It was a treat. And of course, like someone said in chat, you deserve an ice cream after that run. And hopefully we get to do this once again. A couple more social races between seasons. But I'm just excited to be back behind the mic in general and soon for an entire season along with the folks who stayed in and watched.
Yep. So thank you everyone yet again for joining the chat. We'll be back. Well, PSGL will be back next week, and we'll see you then. So have a good one, everyone, and goodbye.
Cheers, folks.
Desperately trying to hang on. He's got the inside. Up here is through on the left hand side. Hooks the apex, gets on the power nicely, and that is job done. Jarno Opmeer now to the last couple of corners now. His finest drive, his greatest drive, and he's done it at the Circuit of the Americas. He returns to the top step of the podium. Once again, the ghost is back. Jarno Opmeer wins the US Grand Prix in a stunning Grand Prix.